BFreeCBD.com joins forces with Championship Wrestling to bring you the all-new Championship Wrestling podcast. And here's your host, Dustin Starr, featuring special guest,
BFree CBD,
founder of BFree CBD, Daryl Bird. Here we go!
Body aches gone, leg pain gone, back pain gone, relaxation on.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to episode 38 of the Championship Wrestling Podcast, presented by BFree CBD. Thank you once again for joining me on another happy Monday, especially today. I'm all fired up from last night. I am Dustin Starr, coming to you from Memphis, Tennessee, also the home of Championship Wrestling, presented by Pro Shingle. What a weekend it was! It was another unpredictable episode of Championship Wrestling, presented by Pro Shingle on Saturday, and we had an absolute blast last night at Growlers in Memphis for a superstar tribute with Bill Dundee. Man, lots of great guests in the house as well, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in just a bit. But today's big guest, oh man, it's none other than the man who has main evented every single one of our shows since our return to live production. It's Will Allday, and he's going to join us right here for an exclusive interview in just a moment. But first, this podcast is presented by BFreeCBD.com.
Hello, my friends. This is Daryl with the BFree CBD Moment. I want to talk to you briefly about the power of the hemp plant. You hear us talk about CBD a lot, and Charlotte and I are extremely passionate about the power of the plant and using natural products. But the reason we talk about the plant is because through that, we're able to extract our oils, the oils from that plant, and make things such as our BFree CBD full spectrum oil. One of our famous ones that's made right here in Memphis, our Blue Note. You know, Memphis is all about the blues and all about the music, and we've got the Blue Note. And that's made directly from these hemp plants. Also, our bath bombs, our bath teas, these big pretty buds, our ache relief salves from Brothers Love, all of our wellness items, including our massage oils, our skin creams. We've got a full line. So when we say find your free, we're talking about being as natural as you can be in your life and doing as well as you can. And bring those glory days back. When you think about the days of your youth and you want to be mobile and active just like you used to be, well, check us out at BFree CBD Wellness. Find your free at BFree.
Oh yeah, be sure to follow at BFree CBD on all forms of social media. That's the letter B, Free CBD. And while you're there, go ahead and follow at CW30 Wrestling. And of course, I'm at Dustin Starr. Today's lineup is another fun one. We're going to take a look at what's coming up this week for Championship Wrestling. Lots of good, fun stuff coming your way. Plus, a full recap of Saturday's Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. And man, after last week's chaos, we had two big rematches, 5 matches in total. Can you believe we fit 5 matches into one action-packed hour? So it's a lot to get caught up on. Also, I'm going to answer your questions in this week's mailbag. Some fun stuff this week. Nothing gross like we talked about last week, though. And today's guest, of course, like I said, he's headlined all 3 episodes of Championship Wrestling since our return to live action. Plus, he was featured on live pay-per-view last Tuesday on United Wrestling Network's primetime live premiere. Will Allday is going to join me in just a moment. And man, we're going to talk about how we first met and how I first heard of Will Allday just a couple of years back. We're going to get his thoughts on returning to action after the pandemic and also wrestling without an audience, because much of what he does is spectacular, to say the very least, and it really involves the fans. And then also, there's an interesting story of where he was when he learned about the shutdown and how he nearly got caught up in Europe. Could you imagine that? So he just missed that. We're going to talk about it. Also, who does Will Allday remind you of? I'm going to talk to him about that and so much more. Will Allday is up next.
The all-new Championship Wrestling podcast is presented by BFree CBD.
We've got a bone to pick with you about your son, Nico. What is going on with him?
You know, he got hit over the head with that bottle, and I don't know where his head's at. I haven't talked to him. He just took off in the car after the show, and I haven't really spoke to him.
BFreeCBD.com joins forces with Championship Wrestling to help you be and feel your best.
So typically I say that Saturday is all day, but in this case, Monday is all day. What's up, Will?
Hey, what's up, Dustin? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, thanks for coming on here. You have been super busy. Not only have you main evented the last 3 weeks of Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle, but you also premiered on live pay-per-view, United Wrestling Network's Primetime Live to be exact. Man, how are you keeping up with all this stuff, man? You're everywhere.
Well, you know, that's kind of my mentality. That's what I expect. You know, I didn't get into this to be part of the team or, you know, sitting on the sidelines. I got into this to be sitting on the mountaintop, to be the top guy. And, you know, that's what I'm shooting for. And that's, you know, where my path is leading me right now. And anytime I'm not in that spot, it pisses me off a little bit.
I understand. You're absolutely killing it right now. But before we get to what's going on here recently, I know that you were tearing it up before the pandemic. So how has the pandemic affected you personally in your professional career? And then talk about kind of the comeback, because we're performing now without fans. And a lot of what you do really excites the fans. So it's got to be a lot different for you.
Yeah, it is. You know, it wasn't just me, though. It was everybody. The world stopped turning, and, you know, we kind of had to figure out how to lead our lives, you know, with this new, like the new reality we're living in. And, you know, it just takes being malleable or adaptable to be able to conquer what's coming next. And I think that, you know, if you're part of any industry, if you can't adapt, then you're just going to get left behind. And so that's really what I've been focusing on. And, you know, fans or no fans, this is what I was born to do. And so to me, it's just straight business. And, you know, I like doing it either way, but to me, it really doesn't matter.
I understand. Now, you told me that you were in England like the week before the pandemic hit. So you just got back into the country and then everything shut down.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were trying to throw me a parade or what, but it ended up being a pandemic. You know, it was leading into some of the biggest opportunities of my life, coming back from that tour in England. But, you know, it shut down and everybody's opportunities got thrown down the drain. So I'm just sitting there, you know, trying to find my path just as well as everybody else. And I think you're going to see a changing of the guard, you know, with a lot of people kind of getting out of this business and, you know, new people rising to the top. And I'm going to make sure that I'm one of them.
Yeah, talking about new people right there, I learned about Will Allday. It's been probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, where we booked you for Grind City Wrestling Night at FedExForum with the Memphis Grizzlies. And my buddy Action Jackson actually kind of turned me on to you. And I said, hey, man, I trust you. Bring him on. And ever since that moment of you wrestling at FedExForum, which was crazy, by the way, now that I really know your style, I can understand like wrestling in the rafters at FedExForum is not necessarily your cup of tea because you're diving over the top rope and, you know, you're all over the place. But that's where I first learned about Will Allday.
Yeah, and you know what? It was an awesome opportunity to be able to wrestle in another arena and, you know, in front of that many fans. It was pretty cool that early in my career. And, you know, I'm always grateful to have opportunities, but, you know, at the end of the day, you got to take advantage of them. And I think, you know, that's what I did.
No, I totally agree with you because one of the first guys that I called when we were doing the birthday bash at AutoZone Park that unfortunately was postponed due to the pandemic is I wanted to see an Action Jackson versus Will Allday match to where you guys could do what you do. And anybody that hasn't been to FedExForum and seen a Grind City Wrestling Night, the ring is in the rafters. Like, you can't dive out of the ring. There's nowhere to dive out of the ring. It's hard enough getting in and out of the ring because it's up in the rafters, but that's the match that I wanted to see. And then fast forward to now, you have been the main event the last 3 weeks, and on Primetime Live last Tuesday, you got on to Adnan, the ring announcer, and said, hey, you announced me the right way. I am the main event. So what is it like, man, seriously, being the main event in Memphis, Tennessee, which a lot of people think is like the home of professional wrestling, but each and every week, man, you're the main event.
Yeah, like I said, it's expected. That's my goal. That's what I aspired to, because like I said before, I don't want to be just another guy. I want to be the guy. And so, anything I can do to help that come to fruition, I'm going to do.
You haven't been wrestling that long either, right?
No, January 2018 is when I started. So 2.5 years, if you count this whole pandemic, right?
Right. That is incredible. After 2.5 years, not only you traveling and winning championships everywhere, but not only being on television and being on live pay-per-view, but then also being in the main event, dude. That is kudos to you. That's absolutely tremendous. Tell me about Primetime Live. What were the nerves like? What was different being live than it was, being taped?
Well, first of all, thank you very much. And you know what? It's really not that different for me, because I go out there trying to execute flawlessly. I try to do everything right the first way. I try to be smooth. I try to be crisp. And I've done live before, so there were no butterflies in that sense. There were butterflies in the sense that I'm excited, that I'm ready, that I feel like I belong here. And so, once I stepped onto that stage, I kind of had a calmness, because this is what I was born to do. And I love it. I love every minute of it.
Your style is fantastic too. And I'm not just putting you over just because you're here on the podcast. You're literally one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. And I see a lot of maybe Dolph Ziggler in you. And I'm sure you get all the time HBK, Shawn Michaels. Who do people compare you to when you see, like, on Twitter or when you're talking to people?
That's funny. For the longest time, until I actually started wrestling, I had only seen a handful of Shawn Michaels matches. So
really?
It was nothing done on purpose. I'm not, like, I think he's fantastic. I think he's amazing, but it wasn't on purpose. That wasn't like my goal, is to be like Shawn Michaels or emulate Shawn Michaels. I do, however, really enjoy Dolph Ziggler. So maybe that's where a lot of the similarities come in. But a lot of the times I get compared to, like, AJ Styles, because of his style, his hard-hitting style, his athleticism, how he puts things together. And I'm, all three of those guys I'd love to be in the ring with any day, because I think those are three of the best performers of all time.
I think we might see that match. We're sitting here talking to Will Allday. Did I get it right? The main event, Will Allday. That's right, right?
I'm going to have to give you a cue card.
Give you a cue card. All right, real quick, we're going to wrap things up here. I appreciate you giving the time here on the Championship Wrestling Podcast presented by BFree CBD. What is next for Will Allday? Will we be seeing you more on Primetime Live? Where can we tune in to find you other than Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingo every Saturday at noon?
Well, you can absolutely plan to see me on Primetime Live again, and Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. But if you guys need a little bit more, you can also check me out at Reality of Wrestling. You can check me out at SWE Fury, which is also on Fight. There are many TV shows that I'm a part of and I'd like to be a part of, because that's my goal. The end goal is to be on TV, on the top of the mountain in one of those major league promotions. And so I'm not going to deviate from my goal and go do these shows that are not going to get me to where I need to be. That's what I'm going to do. And I don't think there's any better place to be than Championship Wrestling.
We appreciate that. I have to ask you before I let you go about Booker T, because I know everybody, when they hear Reality of Wrestling, they think Booker T. What's it like working with Booker? What has been your experiences with Booker? How did all that come about?
Well, I've only met the guy once.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. No, he's my head trainer. He's the guy who's kind of put the finishing touches on me when I was starting, and then helped polish me, even through today. And he's the guy that really got me prepared to do these TV type wrestling shows. And, I can't say enough good things about him. He's a psychological genius. I don't know how he knows half the things he knows about the wrestling business, but he's amazing, man.
Very, very cool. Any last messages that you want to send out to Memphis, or we have listeners literally all across the country, especially here on the YouTube channel? Anything that you want to send out to the listeners before I let you go?
Yeah, and it's a cheap plug. It's follow me on my social medias or YouTube. It's the same handle. It's at I am Mr. Allday, and not only for content, not only for highlights, not only to make your day every day, but to see where I'm going to be and see what I'm doing so you can catch me in action.
We'll do it, brother. I appreciate you.
Hey, thank you very much, Dustin.
The Championship Wrestling Rewind is brought to you by BFree CBD.
Last week on Championship Wrestling, we had 5 big matches jammed into one action-packed hour, including 2 exciting rematches from last week. Vipress went one-on-one with CC Chanel.
She's gonna go out. This is deep. She's tapping.
And in our main event,
Punch you right off into the sunset, and I'm gonna take your ass out to the pasture. And that is all good.
Ray Rosas defended the Heritage Championship against Will Allday. All that and so much more on the fastest hour in pro wrestling. Watch episode 77 in full on our official YouTube channel at CW30 Wrestling.
What are you looking for?
They're everywhere, Rhea.
The Championship Wrestling Lookout is brought to you by BFree CBD.
First of all, before I go any further, I want to send a big shout out and thank you to each and every person who came out last night to a superstar tribute with Bill Dundee. Everybody was so great. The questions were awesome. The stories were fantastic from superstar Bill Dundee. And also a big shout out to those wrestling fans that are outside of the Memphis market who purchased VIP tickets just to get the exclusive t-shirt and masks featuring superstar Bill Dundee. So we are very, very appreciative and look forward to doing more of these in the future. But man, some of the special guests that we had out there, my former tag team partner who I won 2 Southern Tag Team Championships with, Kevin White, was in the house. Superstar Bill Dundee, he trained Kevin White, was his top protege for a long, long time. I have only seen Kevin White one time in probably the last 10 years or so, and that was at Brian Christopher's funeral. So it was great to see Kevin and to catch up with him. I love him and his family. Shout out to Mr. Big Stuff if he's listening somewhere. Also, Derek King, another guy that was trained by superstar Bill Dundee. He was there. He was bellied up at the bar, of course. And as you'll see in the pictures, we were wearing masks and socially distanced, and that's how we're going to do these events. And the next one that we have is our next free watch party at Dave & Buster's in Memphis. It's this Sunday night, September 27th, for WWE Clash of Champions.
Dave & Buster's is the coolest place to eat, drink, play, and watch WWE Clash of Champions. Join us Sunday, September 27th. It's free. Dave & Buster's Wolf Chase.
Oh man, I can't wait to see everybody on Sunday at Dave & Buster's, but it only gets better. Saturday, October 3rd. I can't even believe this. In Hernando, Mississippi at Commerce Street Market, you are invited to a free birthday party. Commerce Street Market is turning 5 years old, and it's a full day of free family fun. Check this out.
It's a special eat and greet event celebrating Commerce Street Market's 5th birthday. Join us for a full day of free family fun on Saturday, October 3rd, with amazing carnival jugglers, fire breathers, along with an exotic petting zoo. Plus, Anna, Elsa, and Olaf will be on hand with their friend the Easter Bunny. Chris Gales will be performing live while you enjoy delicious food. That's Commerce Street Market, Mississippi's favorite one-stop shop.
And just a couple of days later, on Monday, October 5th, it's Championship Wrestling Trivia, and it's absolutely free at Sidecar Cafe in Memphis. Now, does your team have what it takes to become Championship Wrestling Trivia champs? Well, we're going to find out. And also, if you register your team right now at championshipwrestlingmemphis.com, you're going to get a free appetizer on us. Does your team have what it takes to win Championship Wrestling Trivia? Well, prove it.
You'll have your chance on Monday, October 5th at Sidecar Cafe. Register your team of 4 or less at championshipwrestlingmemphis.com and get a free appetizer.
I'll host trivia while we watch Monday Night Raw and Monday Night Football. And best of all, it's absolutely free to play.
It all goes down at Sidecar Cafe, Monday, October 5th, 7 p.m. bell time.
Just bring it. And as always, every single Thursday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, you can catch me on Sports 56 Mornings talking professional wrestling with my buddy Peter Edmondson and Anthony Sane. Listen anywhere in the world live or on podcast at sports56whbq.com. And then Thursday at noon, it's an all-new Grind City Wrestling podcast. You can listen at grindcitymedia.com/podcast. Join us every Thursday. We have 101 original episodes for you to dive into. Check it out. Now, this is what you want to hear about. Saturday at noon, we're back with the fastest hour in professional wrestling. Check out this lineup, man. Jordan Clearwater returns to action. We've seen him training. Now it's time to see him put that training to action. Jordan Clearwater, the Golden Boy, he returns to action on Saturday. Danny Limelight Rivera and Papo Esco are in tag team action, a new alliance there, and I hear that these guys are going to be nothing but trouble as a tag team. Also, will we see the return of Watts? We saw Miguel and David Marquez on Saturday's show. They sent out a plea to Watts. Please show up next week. We're going to keep our eyes on that situation, and maybe Watts will return. Dan Joseph, he vows to defend his United Television Championship this Saturday at high noon on Championship Wrestling. But who's he going to go against? Who? And speaking of champions, we're going to finally hear from the Heritage Champion, who's also the Arizona State Champion. We're going to hear from Ray Rosas for the very first time since our return to live production and since his team of Static, Andy Brown and Adrian Quest, and this mystery man, SoCal Distancing. We'll hear from Ray Rosas for the first time since they turned his back on him. And also, last but certainly not least, our Dave and Buster's match of the week, the main event, is women's division action. It's match number 5 of the best of 7 series between Lacey Ryan and Heather Monroe.
Saturday at noon, it's an all-new Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle.
Heather Monroe versus Lacey Ryan is our Dave and Buster's match of the week.
That's Saturday at noon, right here on the #1 CW station.
It's time for this week's Mailbag. Mailbag.
Now it's your turn. It's that part of the podcast, the Mailbag, where I answer your questions. Now, all these questions come from my Instagram page at Dustin Starr on 5 Star Friday. I put it on my story. Ask me anything, and I'll answer it. Well, mostly anything. Last week, you guys were a little bit gross. I'm not going to lie. So this week, it's going to be a little bit cleaner. No poop or snot rocket stories for you this week, but I do have some fun stuff. First question, when are we going to do a full tag team match against the Barbecue Boys? Oh man, that was a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys have seen this if you're outside the Memphis market, but at Grind City Wrestling Night, the same event that I was just talking to Will Allday about, it was myself and Grizz tag teaming against the Barbecue Boys, who is Derek King and Alan Steele. Big fun gimmick. And then also my boy BLJ was in there with me. We kicked some butt, got the big victory right there at FedExForum in front of a packed house. It was awesome. And that question actually did come from my tag team partner, BLJ. So can't wait to do it again. I miss you, buddy. Look forward to seeing you very, very soon. The next question, how much longer till baby Starr is here? Oh my gosh, we are 9 short weeks away. Now, I'm told that it can be anywhere from 6 to 9 weeks on average. But the date is November 23rd, and also this gives me a good opportunity to send a big thank you out to all the great fans who have sent in gifts off of our baby registry. We are literally blown away by the response. You guys have shown up really big, and not just by getting us gifts, but really thoughtful gifts too. And I know that My Maria feels the same, and we really do appreciate you guys. Yesterday, while I was at a Superstar tribute on stage with Bill Dundee, My Maria was having a drive-by baby shower. And so that was a lot of fun. We're going to be sharing some pictures of that and everything. You can follow My Maria at the Maria Star. Of course, I'm at Dustin Starr. Next question. What's the weirdest place/venue you've wrestled at? Oh my gosh, do you know who you're talking to? I'm a professional wrestler in the South, in Memphis, Tennessee. How about you pick the weirdest place that I've wrestled? Because I've wrestled in the middle of a dirt ring where bull riding takes place, where you have to walk through what seems to be cow manure on your way to the ring. You can only imagine My Maria walking in her high heels on the way to the ring, stepping in all this stuff. We've wrestled at car dealerships. Gosh, we've wrestled in a neighborhood where they just set up a ring at a house party. Where haven't we wrestled at? We've literally wrestled everywhere. We've wrestled in the rafters at FedExForum. I've talked about that on the show. To me, that's weird. If you get thrown over the top rope, you get thrown off the balcony of FedExForum. But everything from car dealerships to bull riding rings, gosh, oh my, house parties, neighborhoods. I mean, we were wrestling in National Guard Armory socially distant before socially distance was a thing, if you know what I'm saying. We've wrestled on the street, on Beale Street, with Dana White. And if you haven't seen that, go to Dana White Looking for a Fight in Memphis on YouTube, and you'll see that. Now, that's not weird, but it's just definitely not typical. We've wrestled in the middle of the street in Jonesboro at the Downtown Barbecue Fest. But I would say that the weirdest would have to be the bull riding rink, or, gosh, man, car dealerships are always weird. You've heard Daniel Bryan tell stories about that. But there are definitely some weird places, and weird meaning not typical professional wrestling venues, that's for sure. Next question, who do you think are underrated female wrestlers from WWE? Man, I think a lot of the female wrestlers in WWE are underrated. Natalya is the first one that comes to mind. Although I think she's one of the best they have, gosh, she never seems to get her just due. What about Mickie James? And it's kind of tough saying Mickie James because she had a championship match on Monday Night Raw. But to me, Mickie James should be on the level of a Trish Stratus. Like, she's a big deal when she's in the ring. Liv Morgan. I'm a big fan of Liv Morgan. She's really come a long way in her professional wrestling career as well. But definitely Mickie James and Natalya, to me, are maybe not underrated, maybe sometimes underutilized. Last question of the day is a workout question, and that wants me to give a plug here. Go to modernsportsnutrition.com and try their Modern ISO. It is delicious protein, low carb as well. Or you can get their Modern BCAA Plus. For those of you who lift, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And at checkout, if you enter the code STARR10, STARR 10, then you're going to save some money. And also check out actionnutritiononline.com. Of course, myself and My Maria, we are signed with those two brands, and we use them religiously. Get you some Bolt Extreme Energy. That'll help you through your bicep workout. But I always liked 21s. Those are good bicep workouts. That where you do a half rep 7 times, the other half of the rep 7 times, and then a full rep 7 times. Do those for a set of 4, and you are burned up. And that's only the beginning of your bicep workout. then you can bust them out. And this coming from a two-time Mr. Tennessee men's physique champion. Not trying to brag, just saying.
Thanks for listening to the Championship Wrestling Podcast presented by BFreeCBD.com.
BFree CBD, pain on, pain gone. BFree CBD.
Thank you for joining me again this week on another edition of the Championship Wrestling Podcast presented by BFree CBD. Big thank you and shout out, let me get this right, to the main event, Will Allday. Big thank you for joining me today, and we'll be seeing a whole lot more of him very, very soon on Championship Wrestling. And before I go, remember, BFree CBD is open in Collierville, Tennessee. That's 777 West Poplar Avenue. You can go check out their wellness center. Tell them hello. Tell them Dustin Starr and Championship Wrestling sent you. And man, this is a no-brainer. If you already take CBD or if you've been thinking about trying it, ooh yeah, then you certainly need to try BFree CBD. Check them out online. The letter B, freecbd.com. And be sure to check out our new Superstar playlist on our official YouTube channel. You can see matches and highlights from Heather Monroe, Danny Limelight Rivera, Watts, Gentleman Jervis, and so much more. That's YouTube at CW30 Wrestling. I'll see you guys on Saturday at noon in the live chat for Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle, and then I hope to see everybody on Sunday at Dave & Buster's in Memphis for our free watch party. It's WWE Clash of Champions. Until then, I am Dustin Starr saying so long, everybody. Oh yeah.